Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I think I need to thank the organizers for inviting me to come and speak at this very important event. I must say, I suppose this morning I thought whether I have come to the right session, because everything was all about life sciences and the ecology. But then as we sort of went on, I thought, oh, well, no, I think I fit in here anyway. So I suppose I come from sort of very different background. I'm a construction engineer, so my research is very much into post-disaster reconstruction. Disaster in the sense both natural and man-made. So I have done quite a bit of work after Indian Ocean tsunami in that region, and also post-war sort of or post-conflict, post-war related reconstruction as well. So this is actually my way of sort of interpreting resilience from the point of view of built environment. Right, okay. Right, okay, so we actually sort of from morning, I think there were sort of different interpretations, different versions and different definitions of resilience, but I'm not going to sort of give a definition as such during my presentation, because I knew and I assumed, and I think I was right, that it will be covered in the morning. So there were sort of definitions relating to material science, ecology, economy, environment, systems, social, and so on and so forth. So I'm actually going to talk about built environment today. So I suppose what is built environment? I think it's better to sort of give a kind of a definition here. So I think I'll start with the ref definition. In 2008, how HEFKI defined built environment was encompassing the fields of architecture, building science and building engineering, construction, landscape, surveying and urbanism. So you can sort of see it's a very, very broad agenda once again, but in my very simple terms, it actually sort of attempts to describe in one sort of integrated concept that is actually the results of human activities. And I suppose some of the characteristics, once again, I suppose it is extensive and provides the context of all human activities. I suppose built environment is extremely important for us to carry out all our sort of other day-to-day businesses. And also, in my view, I suppose much of it is created to help us to deal with and to protect us from the overall environment. So that is actually how I see this concept of built environment. And also, most importantly, every component of the built environment is actually defined and shaped by its context, and I'll tell you what it means a little bit later. So then, what happens if when the characteristics and of these characteristics are damaged or destroyed? The characteristics of the built environment is damaged or destroyed. Of course, the ability of the society to function economically and socially will be very severely disrupted, because we carry out all our activities within this concept of built environment. And not only that, it will actually severely disrupts economic growth, and of course it hinders a person's ability to emerge from poverty, if you're sort of looking into that angle, that is. And also, most importantly, bearing in mind my background and my research relating to disasters, it actually removes protection from hazards and increases a community's vulnerability. So that is extremely important point that I want to emphasize here. So if you move on to sort of just to give you some statistics about the size, scale and the impact of the built environment in the UK. It says that there are about 192k construction firms in the UK. And if you take the European Union as a whole, it's 2.9 million. And also the statistics says that 1 in 10 people employed in the UK work in construction. So which is actually quite a significant statistics. And I can't see very well the rest of the statistics, and you can actually sort of see it actually consumes 40% of the UK energy and half of our water. So you can actually, what I want to sort of emphasize here is how important the built environment or the sector that we are talking right now, the scale, the size and the impact. But if you take the total value, including the supply chain, it actually sort of relates to sort of related economic activities will be another 20%. So taking everything together, it will be about 40%. So you can actually sort of see the scale of the construction sector or the built environment sector in this particular instance. The UN High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability, they are predicting that we will need 50% more food, 45% more energy, and 30% more water than it did in 2012 by 2030. So, which is, you can see, it's a huge increase to what we are dealing with now. The reason for that is, with that, I suppose there's huge expectations put on the infrastructure sector. McKinsey actually estimates that infrastructure spending of US dollars 57 trillion will be required between 2013 and 2030. So you can actually sort of see the amount or the increase that we need to deal with between now and 2030. The reason for that is actually investment in infrastructure development is actually pressing need given increasing worldwide populations and the trend towards urbanization. We know in last year the overall urban population actually increased the overall rural population within the world that we are living in. So these are extremely important statistics and also quite scary in my view. So linking with that, the predicted growth in construction output, you can sort of see 2015 is actually 10 trillion, and by 2025 it goes up to well over 15, and you can sort of see that is actually with 70% increase. In the UK in particular, all the construction industry related professional institutions actually support this view. I have actually given, this is actually the RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects. They actually sort of provide a forum for all architects to discuss about health, safety, welfare, diversity and inclusion, and environmental sustainability. And ICE, the Institute of Civil Engineers, they do the same. And the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, in their latest report on, I can't exactly see the title of the report, it's just global, Our Changing World, sorry, Our Changing World. They actually highlight the importance of rethinking about the future and to sort of accommodate all these high-level demands. Within this context, what I'm going to sort of emphasize today here again is the concept of resilient built environment. So we spoke about resilient ecosystems, we spoke about resilient power supplies, and my emphasis today is actually the resilient built environment. So within our work, within our group at University of Huddersfield, this is how we define a resilient built environment. It read as follows, of course you can see it, but design, develop and manage context-sensitive buildings. Once again, that the key term context is very important. Spaces and places which have the capacity to resist or change in order to reduce hazard vulnerability and enable society to continue functioning economically and socially when subjected to a hazard event. So two key words I want to emphasize here again is economically and socially. So we are actually looking into this built environment from the holistic point of view rather than only concentrating on construction or concrete in simple terms. So it is actually the holistic view. So in that sense, what I want to sort of cover, to take you through is the view of sort of looking into built environment's potential to contribute to societal resilience from the point of view of products and processes. So you can sort of see maybe 10-15 years ago, I would have, if I were to do this presentation, I would have only spoke about the construction element. But today I'm going to cover so many other elements. As you can see, I will take you through one at a time very briefly. Here what we are using is the notion of looking into the entire built environment perspective from the point of view of products and the processes. And we are using the asset-based community development concept here. So if we sort of take the construction, of course the construction and the maintenance of communities, infrastructure and buildings or physical assets are the first obvious impact. We need to sort of we need to construct buildings, we need to construct infrastructure, and so on and so forth to carry out rest of our activities. So in that sense, the construction of the physical environment is actually vital to secure sustainable economic development. I have absolutely no doubt about it. And I will actually sort of, in taking you through this cycle, I will show you some examples. This is actually from the post-war situation in Sri Lanka. I suppose these are some of the reconstruction activities that were happening at the time. So you can actually sort of see a major housing estate, road construction, major schools, and so on and so forth. And the second component is actually the development. In my view, the resilient societies are able to cope with adversity without outside assistance. And also sort of the strong communities, they will be able to develop by themselves by using the construction process as an enabler. For example, vocational training institutions, and also sort of new universities, for example, in developing capacities among the higher education sector and the upcoming early career researchers. And also sort of the built environment will also sort of stimulate the economy. As I sort of emphasized before, the construction process actually linked with a very large-scale supply chain. So it actually stimulates the economy in terms of sort of providing opportunities for material manufacturers and so on and so forth. So this is actually, again, from post-war Sri Lanka. You can sort of see it's a kind of a brick manufacturing site. And the construction process actually also facilitate the institutional assets. How does it do that? It actually sort of provides the community with an opportunity to influence policies. They will actually help them to sort of devise policies relating to construction activities and to sort of have governance mechanisms overall. So this picture was actually taken soon after the war was ended in 2009 June. This is actually the divisional secretariat in northern Sri Lanka, where the war was taking place at the time over a period of 30 years. So the construction, the heavy construction activity helped them to sort of put their systems and the governance mechanisms in place. This one is actually quite very relevant to what we heard this morning. That is actually protection of the natural environment. So we can't actually forget that aspect of the equation when we think about the overall view of the built environment potential. So in that sense, I suppose I'm giving an example here. This is actually prioritization of land use and forest, and also limiting the land mines and sand mines. So this is actually, this picture was also taken in 2009, but it is really sad to sort of see, if you go there now, you don't see this beach anymore. It's just covered with sort of so many hotels, and it is sad. So the last component of that is nurturing the communities. In my view, the fundamental to any societal resilience of any community is the idea of connectedness. In that sense, I suppose the collective construction contribute to social cohesion and building social assets. There's absolutely no doubt about it, particularly within a post-war situation. The construction process actually acts as a connector between different communities. And you will like to sort of see this picture. You can sort of see this child is carrying a weapon, and at the both ends of the weapon is actually a pieces of a cricket bat. So the weapon actually divides people, and cricket, of course, bring the people together. So this was actually sort of, this was this was a major poster that they actually used soon after the sort of war times in Sri Lanka. So in that sense, I suppose what I want to sort of emphasize here again, I suppose in terms of sort of the role of the construction industry or the built environment as a sector to increase the societal resilience to disasters. So in order to sort of check the capacity that is available, we managed to sort of secure funding from the European Commission, a project called Cardiff. There, what we did was we actually sort of concentrated on the entire construction life cycle, linking with key resilience assets that I just took you through, and also dealt with the key stakeholders. This actually sort of summarizes that diagram. You can sort of see the property life cycle at the top there. We actually covered from appraisal to the completion of the construction process, and we dealt with different resilience assets that I covered a little while ago, and we dealt with so many stakeholders that are actually part of the construction process. So it is actually a 3D sort of framework, and we managed to actually sort of, we conducted a very large number of stakeholder interviews, 87 in total, in finding out the status and the capacity gaps and the competency needs. And we came up with this list of competencies, very high level competencies. 13 of them were identified in terms of sort of identifying the role of the built environment in promoting the societal resilience. And we could actually very easily map those to the Sendai framework for disaster reduction, which was actually came into place last year, and we will have to adhere to that until 2030 as far as disaster risk reduction aspects are concerned. So once we did the map, we came up with a diagram like that. For example, we have the overall outcomes and the objectives, and we could actually sort of map the capabilities that we identified through the study very, very clearly. So just to summarize, I think it is very easier to focus on short-term solutions, but developing resilience is a complex and multidimensional. I suppose we all spoke about it since morning. So this is just one angle, and we actually heard about several other angles since morning. So what I have actually tried to give you is kind of a snapshot on the construction of the built environment and its role, and in my view that it can contribute to societal resilience. And I have actually taken you through some examples illustrating the product perspective and the process perspective. Thank you very much.